Hello everybody, this is Eric Novice. For those who are new to this channel, it's called UBF Cult, and in the section of the channel that says about, I explain a little bit of detail what the channel is about. So technically, yes, this is an anti-UBF channel, and it's an expose of like a lot of stuff that's not common knowledge to outsiders, let alone members inside the UBF. And yes, I took a hiatus for a while, but I am back. So for this video coming back, we're gonna do a marriage by faith video, and it's been a while since I did one of those. But there's new information which is going to be shocking, but not shocking at the same time. So as you can tell by the title, the marriages by UBF are, for the most part, are illegal, right? So this is from the Rescue UBF Live Journal, made by the admin Rescue Sunny. So don't worry, I'll put a link in the description to this post, right? So I'm actually going to read this whole post because this is kind of short. This is a follow-up to the adoptions of convenience post. There has been ample testimony about Lee's disregard for ethical behavior over years and decades. So, just so I know, by Lee, he's talking about the founder of UBF. What's really bothersome is that part of Lee's legacy is teaching disregard for ethics from the pulpit, and also train people to disregard ethics as part of so-called discipleship, quote unquote. For example, the following paraphrase account of a UBF arranged international marriage is from another friend. Right? Here's the passage of the account. At a certain point in my life, I was frustrated with UBF life. My parents thought I was getting ready to split, so they used the common tactic of offering a marriage. And I, with no real social skills, no prospects, and a feeling crushing loneliness, said yes when they proposed. 18-year-old, blank from blank. She had previously been arranged in her early teens to marry another guy who rejected the whole idea and left UBF soon after going to college. I agreed to sponsor her as my quote-unquote fiancé so she can get a visa. I met her for the first time at the airport in blank after she flew over from blank. I never spoken to her or even written to her before. As we were told we were to get legally married. Keep this in mind. Legally married in court to get the immigration process started for her. She was 18 years old. Immigration law dictated that we live together for at least 2 years and provide proof of this after 2 years. This was to prevent sham marriages for immigration purposes. My parents and UBF leaders had us live separately for those 2 years instead. She lived in blank. We did as we were told and lied to immigration service that we've been living together. We never actually even touched each other until the quote-unquote official wedding 2 years later. You weren't the only couple who were told to flout immigration law like this. By flout, it's another word for, break. In this context, breaking the law. So, as you can see, this is from a testimony, an account from a second gen. How you can tell is because, my parents thought I was getting ready to split. Parents, and said, and you can tell by the bride, she was also a second gen because previously been arranged in her early teens to marry another guy who rejected the whole idea of UBF soon after going to college. So that's how you know this is from a second gen's account. Okay. This account of her UBF marriage process is messed up in a lot of ways, but notice leadership involving the marriage candidates in the execution of what amounts to immigration fraud. Yes, UBF has been guilty of fraud. In fact, in the CIA document, which I'll link in the description below, I touched upon that a bit more, but basically that was what the FBI was investigating UBF for, immigration fraud. What the hell is this? This is UBF training. Obey even if you must lie and break the law. See? God bless you when you obey by faith. Again, in a reputable church, you will probably hear that scrupulous ethical behavior is part of the church's witness to a watching world. The ethical behavior that exceeds the world standards of ethics is God's will. But in UBF, as modeled by UBF's founders, ethics are seen as an obstacle to the fulfillment of God's will, i.e., quote-unquote mission. P.S. UBF marriage defenders have stated that marriage by faith, quote-unquote, helps people maintain, quote-unquote, purity. What is pure about the above account? So yes, like as Rescue Sonny is pointing out, this is one of UBF's double standards. How the UBF leaders, well, they're not, and if you think about it, they're more of a boss and leader. The UBF higher-ups are always emphasizing about, following the laws and being obedient, and yet they themselves are willing to break the law, literally going against their conscience and no regards to the consequences. And if they were to get caught, they would shift the blame somehow to the ones they're supposed to take care of. So this is one of those messed up double standards. So this comes to the question whether UBF leaders, the UBF higher-ups, even have the license to marry people, right? There's a way you can look for licensed people. By licensed people in this case is those who have a license to marry a couple, and the terminology is called marriage officiant. So in Chicago, there's Cook County where you can look that up, but unfortunately, the page has been taken down, so it appears you can't do that anymore, at least with this county. And this is also important, right? So officiant, that's the proper term. That's someone who has a license to marry someone. So yeah, there's marriage laws. I'll link this in the description below. So each state and their own each state and then the counties within each state have their own rules. So it's similar, but there's also some differences as well. This is for Illinois. This is like the Chicago area. And here, if you look at one of the links, it goes in all detail, like how to register, what you have to do and whatnot, the details. This is another one that another site that explains the list for each state. The licensing the licensing for each county, and you can also do your research. Right, so this is how to get married in California. Right. Yeah, as Mr. Karcher explained in Weakest Shepherd, most often these leaders are not actually qualified to solemnize these marriages. Solemnize, it's another word for like license to really marry the UBF members. So if you think about it, the marriages are not legally binding, and so the counter argument, an apologist or UBF defender would say, well, if that's truly the case, how could they? If that's truly the case, how can they get a divorce? And so my theory, I'm guessing what they did was they must have figured out some loophole or went to offer bribes in order to not get caught. Okay. And this is not a new topic. This is not the first time it's been brought to light. So this actually has been brought to light before. And the old forums. This is from back in 2003. So what is happening here is not just only in the US, but also in other countries as well where UBF is located. This is 2003, so the laws might differ a little, but here, Chicago Exile gets straight to the point. Right. Mike, the second type of marriage you described may also be illegal according to German immigration laws. UBF in the U.S. has also used this type of arrangement to skirt immigration laws for many of their so-called missionaries. In the United States, if your foreign spouse gains immigration status, a green card, by marrying you, becoming a citizen, the law states you have to live together for at least a year, or 2 years, or however long. This law is in place to try to prevent marriages of convenience. But in UBF in the U.S., this law has been broken many times through the direction and encouragement of UBF leaders. It's completely illegal and unethical. The legally married couples live apart and are considered quote-unquote UBF engaged. When they are interviewed at the end of the year by the Immigration Naturalization Service, they are told to outright lie, saying they've been living together. This has happened frequently with second gens in Chicago UBF, who almost without exception end up marrying a fresh off the boat Korean UBF effort. Through this, UBF leaders have consistently shown they have no regard for the law or ethics. This also reveals another use of quote-unquote marriage by faith, the trafficking people across national borders. So yes, what Chicago Exile is saying is trafficking in a different way. In this case, they're using religion, or more specifically, they're using the name of Jesus as an excuse to commit law breaking. More specifically, marriage law breaking. Right? Here's another one. Alright, I'll go read this as well from the same person. Some clarifications to the above. The fresh off the boat Korean UBF quote unquote fiance is typically sponsored by their American citizen UBF fiance, quote unquote, or coworker. So the Korean UBFer is allowed into the country on the condition that the legal marriage will happen 90 days after they enter the country. After they are legally married, the Korean UBFer is given quote unquote conditional permanent residence for 2 years. To remove the conditional status of permanent residence, i.e. get a green card, the Korean UBFer and the American citizen UBFer must be interviewed by the INS within 90 days of their 2-year anniversary, quote unquote anniversary. During this interview, they have to provide proof of an ongoing relationship of the 2 years. In other words, just one of the things they have to prove is that they've been living together for 2 years, which they invariably have not, meaning they will invariably have to lie. Notice that the lie is capitalized. Lie. And they will invariably have been trained on how to lie to the INS. Also, in order to sponsor a fiance, the law states you must also have met your fiance in person within the last 2 years before filing for the fiance's visa. So more lying to the INS by UBF marriage candidates needs to be done. Right? Let's look at the links here. So INS, let's see what INS stands for. Let's Google this. Yeah, so INS, Immigration and National Service. So that's what INS stands for those who are curious. And this was me back in 2003. Now, so what happens to those who don't go along with what UBF tells them? In other words, what if a UBF marriage candidate actually goes what God actually tells them to do and goes by their conscience and does not lie or willing to go through such a process illegally? So this is what happens. They end up getting divorced by UBF. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I accidentally stopped the video. And or they simply just don't want to be part of UBF anymore. They get divorced. I'll go into more detail later. But here's one example, right? Yes, Ron Ward. Yeah, this is the same Ron Ward who delivers the Sunday message on Sundays at the Chicago UBF, the headquarters, right? The county, the number, and then case number. This goes into a little more detail how the second gens get married. So adding on to the whole make the illegal marriage. There's also the matter of politics, and then favoritism, etc. And then there's also the demand of cash. So this is a little bit about how the founder's daughter got married. Okay. So that's all I have for this video. So yeah, the marriage. So the marriages in UBF are illegal. So the marriages we looked at are the international marriages. While the marriages within the same country, they might be actually legally binding, but that's not likely, considering whether the UBF quote-unquote missionary has the license to marry people or not. So how to check that out is you have to. Alright, I'll provide the links in the description below. Go to the marriage laws. You have to look up the county for your state. Look it up and type in the couple got married, the UBF quote-unquote missionary's name to find the information. Same thing for looking up divorces. If you know a divorce that happens, you have to find out which county that the couple registered at, the number, and then the case number if you have it. And that is all for this video. So if you have any questions or anything else I forgot or something you want to add on, please let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time.